Today I want to go over the final leaks and rumors for Apple's September 12th event, including an exclusive look at all the new colors coming to the iPhone 15 series. We also have new info on the new AirPods that are coming, as well as the Apple Watch Series 9, but I want to start off with the iPhone colors just because I haven't seen a ton of people actually showing you these, and they look a bit... Well, they look great before I drop them. Let me actually show you what they look like. For the standard iPhone 15 lineup this year, Apple is going to be offering 5 different colors. We've got a new pink, yellow, blue, light green, as well as black option. Noticing for the first time this year, there is not a standard white color available. And while initially I thought I would hate these, I gotta be honest, seeing them in person, actually holding them in your hand, like the pink one in general, I think looks really good. And they're a little pleasant. They're pleasant, they're subtle, they're nice. Now, what if you want to spend more money? What if you want to give Apple over $1,000? Well, that's where these come in. These are the iPhone 15 Pro colors for 2023, and as you can tell, they're just kind of different shades of gray. The big new color this year is a midnight blue that looks incredibly similar in my hand to Pacific Blue from the iPhone 12 in 2020, which to this day I think might be Apple's best iPhone color to date. If you're not wanting an actual color though, Apple's got you super covered this year. Of course, we've got Space Black returning, as well as a new silver and white model, but the second new color is the Titan Gray, which I've got to tell you is absolutely incredible. The gray is by far the cleanest to me, but I think there's going to be a lot of you that really enjoy the dark blue option as well. Now, keep in mind, if you are buying a Pro this year, we've now heard another rumor that the Pros are getting more expensive. This time it comes courtesy of Digitimes, who says there will be a, quote, major price hike, which is not great to hear a few days before these phones come out. Listen, we've been talking about a price increase for the Pros for months. I thought it was going to be closer to $100, but major suggests that this would be closer to $200 plus per model, which could mean that the Pro iPhones start at $1,199 for the base model, which actually prices a lot of people out. I mean, $1,000 for a phone is a lot, but $1,200 for a Pro? Would I be shocked from Apple? Would anyone be shocked from Apple is the real question. Of course, you can argue that Apple is changing a lot on these phones this year, like the new action button in place of the mute switch. And as spotted by 9to5Mac, the recent iOS 17 Beta 7 confirms this even further. It's a small change, but essentially Apple made it so that the haptic feedback on the 15 Pro will be more noticeable, more prominent, and less subtle than it is now. Because right now it does one thing, it's a mute switch. It's either not silent or silent. But with this, you'll be able to go to your camera, maybe even turn on a flashlight, and Apple wants the feedback to be very distinct from other vibrations that your phone might do, so you know if you've engaged the action button. I just think it's cool that this is actually happening. It was a rumor that I wasn't sure would make the cut, but the action button on the iPhone 15 Pro is absolutely going to be one of the main selling points. Alongside USB-C, of course, coming to all iPhone 15s, and is reported by Mark Gurman in his latest Power On newsletter, Apple is not going to mention why they're doing this change, which is actually being forced to by the European Union. Apple's presentation, they're only going to focus on the positives, like one cable for all of your devices, better interoperability with other third-party accessories. Expect a ton of new USB-C accessories for the iPhone 15, by the way. And a new one that Gurman confirms here is faster charging in some cases. We've heard rumblings that Apple could support faster 35-watt charging on the iPhone 15 series, and that sounds like it will be happening, which is super exciting. Because in all honesty, the current 29-watt fast charging on the iPhone isn't all that fast. Now, Apple's products, of course, have great privacy protections, but recently I learned that there's an entire underground of other companies known as data brokers that have been selling your data without you even knowing it, and my data too. Now, luckily, you do have the right to reach out to these brokers and ask them to stop selling your data, but the problem is this process can take weeks or months because you have to reach out to everyone individually. It's a mess, and I didn't know where to start, but thanks to Incogni, who sponsored today's video, there is an easier way. See, with your permission, Incogni reaches out to these data brokers and makes these requests for you. And with their great dashboard, you get to keep track of all of their requests in real time. Within the first week of using Incogni, I noticed 2 things immediately. Number 1, my spam calls started to decrease a lot, and my spam emails as well. I feel like I have this fresh start at the internet, and it's more refreshing than I ever would have dreamt. And when you're using Incogni, they'll even handle new records as they pop up, so you're continually protected over time. So for the first 100 of you that use my link down below in the description, as well as code AppleTrack, you get 60% off Incogni when you go to incogni.com/AppleTrack and get started today. A huge thank you to Incogni for sponsoring this one and for helping me become in control of my data again. Thanks to them, really appreciate it. Now let's get back to the video. The iPhone 15 Pros are also going to have insanely thin bezels, and thanks to some great mock-ups by 9to5Mac, we now know just exactly how thin they will be. I found this comparison across the past few years to be especially interesting, where you can see from the iPhone 11 and onward, just 4 years ago in 2019, how Apple has actually been on this relentless but quiet journey to shrink the bezel. And while every year it was getting just a bit smaller, that change, if you're still using an iPhone 11 or even an iPhone 12, it's going to be a massive jump this year. I didn't really understand how thin 1.5 millimeters would be, but it's shrinking about 30% compared to last year's 14 Pro, which already had insanely thin bezels, and it means that the screens on the Pros are getting slightly bigger. That's a rumor that people have sort of forgotten about. To be clear, not a lot bigger, but ever so slightly. So a bit more screen real estate, which is going to make the dynamic island on the screen actually look a little bit smaller as well. Okay, next up at this event is a new version of AirPods Pro. We've been talking about this for a couple of months, how Apple was planning to put USB-C on these new AirPods just like they are adding USB-C to the iPhone 15 so that they are upgraded in parity with each other. But I've been wondering if there was going to be anything else, any additional features that Apple would be adding, because it would be weird if they just did USB-C. Well, according to Mark Gurman, that is actually going to be the end of the story. The absolute only new feature for these new AirPods Pro at this event will be the new port. Don't expect anything else basically other than a new case, but the buds will remain unchanged. Of course, unless you count into the new changes coming in the iOS 17 update, in which Apple's adding some adaptive audio features, which combine the best of both worlds of transparency mode and the octave noise cancellation. The new AirPods firmware will also have faster device switching and a couple of other changes, so it's all software and then a USB-C port. That is a story of AirPods Pro 3, or what we should really call them AirPods Pro 2.1, because I wish there was more. Just going to be USB-C. Now, moving on from that, the other big focus of this event is new Apple Watches. And unfortunately, we continue to hear that the Series 9 will be the smallest upgrade probably ever. The main new feature is going to be a faster S9 processor on the inside, and on the outside, we're getting a fresh coat of paint with some new colors like a pink to match your new iPhone 15. Look, Apple's doing it. They're matching it up so you get pink iPhone, pink Apple Watch at the same time. Of course, new colors and a chip aren't really an upgrade, so Apple's doing a couple of other things externally to make them more interesting. Like, according to Kosutami over on Twitter, there is going to be a new magnetic band that Apple will be launching as the headliner for these watches. It's said to look pretty similar to the modern buckle strap that launched with the original Apple Watch many years ago, but this is going to feature a new magnetic clasp design, which sounds kind of nice. You know, it'll be the Apple way, where the magnets are like perfect and it lines up every single time. Again, is it actually going to be an upgrade? We'll have to wait and see, but it does sound pretty small. According to Mark Gurman, what might actually be the biggest update for the Apple Watch Series 9 is a new manufacturing process using 3D printing that Apple is using for the stainless steel model that is going to use less material and thus create less waste, so it will be more environmentally friendly. The 3D printing will start with these stainless steel watches and then expand to titanium and then other models down the road. And if Apple doesn't run into any major issues this year, they're actually going to use this 3D printing on iPhones and other products in the future. It doesn't sound like there's any caveat to this other than it's a cool new way for Apple to make the devices. It sounds like a pretty big win, but I'm really interested to see if you can tell a difference between the traditional CNC machine that makes these products and the new 3D printed one, because I don't know, I want to see what's actually changing. And while we're on the topic of environmental friendliness, if you use leather Apple Watch bands, you better hold on to those tight because they are going away with the Series 9. According to rumors, Apple is going to be getting rid of them this year, and they might be replaced with something else because they're not the most environmentally sustainable. Also, leather naturally wears over time, so it doesn't look as good a year in as it does day one. But this calls into question Apple's biggest partner for leather bands, which is Hermes. They've been working with them since the original Apple Watch in 2014. And sadly, it does seem like 2023 is the year this partnership will be ending, as all existing bands are pretty much sold out. They've been on deep discount to Apple employees, and maybe Hermes is doing something better, but it sounds like Apple was kind of like, hey, the whole leather thing, what if we didn't do that? Oh, that's your whole business? We'll see ya. Honestly, I'm pretty simple. I usually just get one Apple Watch band and I keep it for the amount of time until I get my new watch, so this doesn't really affect me. But I'm curious if you guys were big leather heads. I don't know if that sounds offensive. Is that I really hope that's not offensive. Leatherhead? I don't know if that is a... Let's just move on to the final thing. Okay, one more thing to end the video. Might be the most exciting thing I've talked about. Apple is planning a new strategy in Apple stores with this event. According to Mark Gurman, Apple stores around the world will be getting a revamp of some kind the night of the 12th, which will be after Apple's event has happened. And this only happens when Apple is doing one of two things. Number one, it means Apple will be putting up some fresh marketing materials to actually promote the new products that they just announced in stores. Or number two, it suggests that new products are imminent, that it wouldn't be a week and a half between the event and the launch of products, but it could be right away. They're available in stores Wednesday the 13th or later that same week, which we've never really seen. And it got me thinking, like, what if Apple this year actually put the new products in stores before they were released? How cool would it be if you could go to the store and see which iPhone 15 color you wanted because you had your hands on models and devices early? I think it would make a big deal for a lot of people, help them make purchasing decisions and even get to play with the new stuff at the same time as the media. I don't know if this is happening for sure. I think realistically, it's probably just going to be marketing stuff thrown up. Man, it would be so cool if like regular people could see the iPhones early. I think that would be the, non-media type. Like myself, I don't get to go to the events. I would love to go to an Apple store and check out these phones. Guys, we are so close, just like hours essentially away from the event. Let me know what you're most excited for. Thank you so much for watching. There might be a last minute rumors video if we get some more stuff. I've been known to do more final videos in the past. Thank you guys for watching. I love you so much. I'll see you so soon for Apple's Wanderlust event. Bye-bye.